So one of the last things I wanted to get accomplished in this video is getting our cold side done. So here at the shop, I've been messing with it. This is actually after I was gonna close out the video. I had enough footage that I wanted to put one together, and I was like, you know what, let's get this done, and then hopefully in the next video we can have everything powder coated and looking real nice. So from the throttle body down to the intercooler, super simple. 290s, 3 to 3 on the bottom, and then 4 to 3 here, and only needed one U-bend, but this guy just kind of goes just like that. Our wastegate, sorry, blow-off valve, just using a VS Racing unit. We'll put a real light spring in it, but it's going to tuck right over here in this corner, real similar to Ritchie's turbo kit. All the guys running the Ritchie stuff, this is where your blow-off is. So really the only place for it, we had looked at different ways, but like I tossed the headlight in, there's nothing else that's going to go here, so this is kind of perfect here. So that'll be where the blow-off sits. It's going to be difficult to show, but on the blower itself, Mike had already modified the compressor or the cover on this Procharger so that it would work with like a standard 3-inch intercooler. And he was using one of the ones where it came out right here, and he was kind of going around, and I think he had planned on going like through here and up under. So this was at kind of a weird angle, and we thought like just a 45 would work, but what I ended up having to do was make a cut through his last kind of radius weld that he had, the last piece that he had welded to it to make his turn. I just cut through that and had to add a pie cut in between, so it's just kind of chilling there. I've got it marked so that we can tack it up, but everything fits. Fan is in. This is kind of what we're talking about when we're discussing clearance. There's basically none on the fan, like it's just right up against it. So we're hoping we don't have issues with airflow. You know, I mean, we'll see. You know, you got passage through here. We'll figure something out. I don't know. You know, it's a fun little street car, so I think it'll be plenty. Also got the lower radiator hose connected. So using, this is a C6 water pump, I believe. C6 water pump with an LS3 thermostat housing. And then I took a Silverado lower and cut the crap out of it. You can see the pieces, 1, 2, 3. I had to cut most of the hose. 4 is another one, so had to cut a lot of the hose off, but got it in there. Really nice, makes the turn. It's not in a bind, so need to put some clamps on that and we'll be good to go. So now that the kind of the cold side is done, everything can come back off. So I'll take this to Mike's house where the welder is. We'll weld this together. I've got it marked in several places under the tape. We'll weld that together. We'll put some beads on both ends so that it helps helps it stay in. That's marked, so I'll take the cover back off, and my lower pieces, my pie cut, we'll get those welded together. We're gonna blast this, get all this old powder off of it. I've already wire wheeled this whole thing with I just sat in the garage one night with a Dremel and some whiskey and just got this thing all cleaned up. So it's got oil in it. We replaced the seal. I'm just going to shoot this thing gloss black and then clear coat it. And we need to paint our swing arm here. And then that's pretty much it. So we're going to powder the front cover. We're going to powder this the same color. It's going to match the block a little bit. It's like it's called Dragon's Blood from Prismatic Powders. So should look really nice. And then the last thing we need to do is the upper radiator hose. I ordered a different upper just so I could get the fitting, this quick connect fitting, because this is a 335 radiator and they have some different like the outlets on the necks on the radiators are different. So all I had was a 90 that clocked correctly, but this ends up shooting it into the fan, and so I think we're just going to run a straight, and then I'll find a hose that makes this little run here. AC lines, so they're gonna work. They're gonna clear. It's our top one, and then the bottom one is this guy here. And I think I have to use this end. I think this end actually hits something down there. So I think I have to use this one. Probably tweak this this metal line a little bit to get it where I want it to, and then we'll we'll crimp her onto the F-body one. So, and then we'll make our crimp over here. And then all of our hoses that are running will all be kind of zip tied fixed to the radiator, including this one, not the radiator, the fan, so that they don't go anywhere. And I think we're gonna be good to go. Haven't really been recording. I've been knocking out, trying to figure out some hoses, upper radiator. I'd like this to all be one hose, but I actually need somewhere to run a steam port in my return. So I'm gonna have this, which is basically a bleeder off of this reservoir, and then I need to tie in my steam port down here. My original plan was to kick this over here and tie it in, but this I'm not a big fan of how this is working, and so I think I'm gonna end up, I bought a replacement hose, and it comes straight off. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this off. I'm gonna put a 90 on it, try to get it down here somewhere. And I don't like this going over the blower. I just don't. So I want to reroute that and extend this hose. And then we're gonna run my 1/4 inch out from under here. And this I found laying around. I'm gonna put the correct fitting that I need in here and just tie them in right there. So that gives me a return to my upper. Lower, very simple, nice and short, works great. About ready to take the front end back off. I'm checking for some links on the AC lines. Got Mike's crimper out. I just laid the line down somewhere. I swear. Got the Procharged cover and charge pipe, everything Mike welded on. The blow off, everything's powder coated. Turned out really, really nice. There's half the line. Where's the other half that I need? That's the problem. So I've come down in here, I've marked where you can kind of see where that union is. So this thing's kind of in a bind. I think what I'll end up doing is bending this over a little bit, probably tweaking it just a little bit to the inside of the car once everything's in. So now the front end can come off. I need to pull the blower back off. We need to paint our swing arm. I've got some black, gloss black and 2K clear. We're going to paint the blower itself. And then yeah, I guess once all that stuff's off, we're going to finalize all of our hoses that are below it and behind it, make sure everything is tight. I need to do my plug and extend some wires for the compressor. And then all of this stuff can go back on for the final time. Get everything nice and tight where it's supposed to be. So let's keep going at it. Got all the AC lines crimped, terminated. I left my seals at Mike's house. I need to get those, and then this can be bolted back in. Some real good progress on the car, but we run into some issues. I think our brand new alternator has died right out of the box. Have an excessive ground here because I was just troubleshooting, trying to figure out if it was a ground issue or an alternator issue. Essentially, I ran power wire. You can kind of see it behind there. Still needs to be tucked, and probably going to loom it, but I just wanted to figure out if I had enough to go where I wanted. Connected the power wire to it, fired up the car. It charged for about 20 seconds and then quit. And if you put your hand on the alternator, it was making a real strange vibration. And then to top it off, it got so hot you couldn't touch it and started smoking. So I have just an AC Delco one here that I'm gonna throw on. I think this is like a lower amp, like a 145. This was a 220 from Speedway. I actually called them today, told them that even though I bought it 6 months ago, it just got put on the car and actually like forced to charge last night, and it's not working. So they actually sent me a return a return label. So I'm gonna box this one up, send it back to Speedway, and they're gonna send me another one. We've used a couple of these with no issues, so I'm really hoping it's just a fluke thing. So, but besides that, Mike's on his way. We're gonna program the fans and the Holly so they'll kick on, and we're gonna look at some other things. So I need to put the, oh, there's my dipstick. I was looking for that the other night. We need to put the dipstick in it. So I can check the oil level. We still got pretty good oil pressure. So it hasn't died yet. So let's get to swapping this alternator out. Mike just showed up, and let's see what happens. Man, oh man, everything is looking wonderful. This is temporary for right now. Had a problem getting it to bleed, and ended up figuring it out that this thing just needed to be, thought you could just leave it uncapped, and I had to drain it into a tank, but it just wasn't working. So as soon as I freaking teed this in to these lines and closed the system, then temperatures dropped, so it's holding like 180 right now. Had to swap my alternator to this other one I had. It is charging. So, but this big, I think we're gonna need to get a smaller pulley, a 3-inch at least. This 3.5 is, it charges at idle like 12.5 volts, which it's not terrible, but it does go up with RPM. It'll go up to like 13 at like 1700. So we'll see. But big thanks to Mike. He came over and did the setup on the fans. I don't have a laptop with Holly on it yet, so I need to get one. So he brought his over and he's set up the fans and the flex fuel. I still need to come through. I need to wire in the CAN box, which is up here. Super simple wiring. I need to do it. I need to tidy up some of my wiring, make sure there's nothing else that I need. I've got everything just kind of tucked out of the way here. These are my extra inputs and outputs. My main connector here, my main battery. This needs to run, I need to wire up another another relay for the big fuel pump. That thing's not wired yet. I'm also going to loom and probably zip tie. This is the main power wire over to the alternator. We're gonna probably zip tie this thing up with some loom on it so that it blends in, doesn't stand out so much. So a bunch of little things left to do. Mike forgot the seals for the firewall connection. I left him at his house the other night, so he forgot to bring those, but we just need to bolt down these two, bolt that one to the firewall. We can pull a vacuum on the AC, make sure that's going to hold a charge. And then I've got my wiring coming up here, ground and power for the compressor, so we need to tie that in. I think the wire we need to get to is in this little bundle here. Pop out the factory 335i diff for a 328 unit, so that's all in here. Half shafts are bolted up. We've got our new strange chromoly drive shaft in, Mike's adapter, everything's bolted up and happy. So all of that is good. You also saw that we did all of the AC lines, got everything routed and hooked up where we needed it. People have been asking if we ever finish this car, does it run, does it drive, what does it do? Yes, we did finish it. We're about to be starting on a bunch of upgrades, doing a lot of maintenance, improving a couple things. You can see I've already got the Procharger out of here. We did an oil change on it. It's sitting here. It's got a fresh bottle of oil in it. All of the brackets, bolts, nuts, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people ask about this Procharger setup, so I'm just gonna kind of let you take a look at it. There's 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag here. You got lower radiator hose. I had Mike weld on AN bungs on my water pump so that I could make good sharp 90s. Keep this hose out of the bottom of the overflow, run it where it needs to be. This utilizes an ECS style setup. So this, what you see here, this little bracket in the back gets added on, and what that does is it allows you to run this HD diesel tensioner. That's your main tensioner. Now you don't have one up here like a stock naturally aspirated setup, and then you have a manual tensioner that is sandwiched between the two blower mounting plates and a bunch of spacers. So kind of a convoluted setup. It took a lot of work to get this in here and fitting correctly. You can kind of see how much we had to cut, basically a lot of the outlet off the impeller side of the Procharger, and then you can actually see like the ER is missing from Procharger here. And then we had to, you know, kind of spiral it into this coupler, and that lets me use a factory style 335i VRSF intercooler. So this is the big boy, and then I built this charge pipe and got everything lined up the way I wanted it. Took it to Mike, he welded it up, and we powder coated it, added a blow off stainless hard lines. That's my fuel pressure reference, my blow off, and then it goes to a vacuum source on the intake manifold. So this thing runs great. It's a lot of fun. We have not dynoed it yet. That is coming up after we finish some of this maintenance. We're doing oil changes. We're gonna drop the 328i diff out of this thing and install one of the block and spring style locker setups. So that's kind of what we got going on here. We're also going to be fixing the AC. I kept losing my AC charge, and come to find out, one of my O-rings got split. I guess putting it together too quickly, but I've got a new set of O-rings here, and we're going to get that back together, recharged. Besides that, everything under there is good. So a couple things we've knocked out. We've already replaced the seal on the AC. Already have it partially charged off vacuum. I had to disconnect the high side because we need to slip the blower back in here. We also added a fuel pressure sensor, tied that in here before the regulator. We still have a gauge here for reference, but it's nice for Holly to have a sensor that you can see. So now we're going to grab the whole blower unit and slip it back in here.